whatever the enumerators you are going to appoint, they will be very quick in nature. So this is about roadside interview method. The next method is license plate method. As we all know that the registration number method or license plate method is the which study speed and delay study. So at the entry point and exit point of the road, two enumerators will be there. They will be recording the entry point, entry time of the vehicle with the registration number. At the exit point, exit time of the vehicle, that is the departure time of the vehicle with registration number, they will be noting down. After that, the office, from the office computations, you are going to determine the time of travel in the zone. Okay, this is about this method is very quick in nature and easy, which is suitable for a small area. Okay, which is suitable for a small study area. We can't go for this larger area, that is like metropolitan cities like Bangalore. So we can go for a smaller area. So the next method is a return postcard method. This is also we have already discussed. Okay, a prepaid business postcard will be issued to the road users, whether it may be a driver or passenger, at the toll plazas or at the intersection junctions. That is the traffic signals. You are going to issue this. This postcard will be containing a certain set of questionnaire. So they have to answer and they have to return back. Okay, the return address will be published in the postcard only. And in this this method is suitable where the heavy traffic is there. Okay, where you can't stop the vehicle, there you can adopt this return postcard method. And in this I told right, whenever you are issuing a postcard for 100 members, only 30 to 40 members will be returning the postcard. Some people will not be bothering about that postcard and returning, and they will not be answering also. They will be simply taking the postcard and they will be keeping it with them. They will not be answering and they will not be returning the postcard. So the next method is a tag on car method. As the name itself indicates that tag on car, so there will be a separate pre-coded, okay, separate pre-coded tag will be attached to the car, which is similarly called as a FASTag. So in this method, a pre-coded card is stuck on the vehicle as it enters the area under the study. So whenever you are going for a study area, that is the area where this origin and destination study were carried out. So in that area, there will be a tag will be issued. So in that tag, the prepaid pre-coded card will be stuck to the front glass of your vehicle. So they will be, whenever you reach the control points, it will automatically recording the data. So when the car leaves the cardon area, the other observations are recorded on the tag. So whenever you are leaving that area, okay, you have to return that card. So at the entry point, they will be issuing, for example, we will be moving from A to B. So this is our study area. So we'll be moving from A to B. So at the entry point, they are going to issue the tag, and exit point, they will take out the tag. Okay, they will take out the tag and they will be recording the data. So in this, at the control points, some other intermediate points will be there. Whenever you are reaching that control point means it will automatically record the data, which is similar to your FASTag. Whenever you go for a toll, near the toll or through the toll means it will automatically deduct the amount. Likewise, it will automatically record the data. And whenever you are leaving the section means, whenever you are leaving the study area means, they will take out the card, that is the tag, whatever they have issued, and they are going to record the data and they are going to refresh the card. So they will be alerting the card for other vehicle. And this method is useful where the traffic is heavy and moves continuously. So in this, this method is applicable only when the traffic movement is continuous and heavy in nature. That is when more number of vehicles are moving continuously without stopping. Okay, for example, Hebbal flyover, in that there will be heavy traffic will be there, and movement will be continuous without any stoppages. The vehicular movement will be there. So this method, this tag on car method, will be helpful only when the traffic is heavy and moving continuously. And in this method, it gives only information regarding the points of entry and exit and time taken to traverse the area. Okay, remember, in this only the point of entry, from where you are going to enter the section, it will record. From where you are exited the section, it will record. And time taken to travel from entry point to exit point, it will record. Other data will not be getting from this tag on car method. So in the tag on car method, you are going to provide a pre-coded card which will be stuck to the front glass of your vehicle. Then at the entry point, the time of arrival and the type of vehicle they are going to note down, and they are going to issue the card. Afterwards, they are going to take out that card when you are leaving the study area. Then this method is useful only when the traffic is heavy and moving continuously without stoppage of the vehicle. If the vehicles are moving, there you can provide this tag on car method. And in this method, it gives only information: the entry point, entry time, exit point, exit time, and the distance what you have traveled. It will give only, but it will not give what's your origin, is there any intermediate stop, purpose of the trips. All other details will not be getting from this for tag on car method. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? Kindly respond. You can unmute yourself and you can answer. Is it clear, right? Tag on car method. You can leave a message also in the chat section. Understood. Okay. The next method is a home interview method. Okay, this is very simple method. Rather than going on the road for collecting the data, you will be going to the houses only. In the study area, you will be going to homes or houses and collecting the data from the household people only. Those who are using the road, rather than going to the road, rather it will be helpful you to go to their houses and collecting the data which is required for the originate destination survey. So this method of OD study is preferred when comprehensive traffic and transport requirements are to be planned for a city. This method will be helpful only when comprehensive traffic, that is when there is a initial mixed traffic. Okay, initial or mixed traffic is there, means there you can adopt this home interview method. So you can't interview the vehicles by stopping the vehicles on the road. And whenever you are planning a city, okay, you are planning a city transportation, that is transportation for a city, there you can go for this home interview technique. So a random sample of 0.5 to 10%. Okay, for example, 10,000 people are living in a study area, means in this only 10% to 0.5% of the population you are going to select. You are not going to visit each and individual houses. You will be visiting only 10 to 0.5% of the houses, and you are going to collect the data. What are those data? Again, I am telling the origin. If you are moving from if you are a daily commuter, so you will be getting the origin, destination, what is your time of departure from the origin, time of arrival at the destination, type of transport used, how many passengers, all those data you are going to collect in the house itself without moving to the field or road. All the data will be collected in the house itself. So it is desirable to classify the types of household in entire study area and randomly selected some sample. I told right, you are going to conduct the excuse me, you are going to conduct this survey for selected samples only. Not all the population, not all the houses which is present in the area, but only you are going to select a certain set of houses. Okay, I told right. 0.5 to 10% of the houses you are going to select, not the 100% of the houses in the study area. Then the residences are visited by the trained personnel, and they collect the travel data from each member of the household. What they will be doing? They will be having some enumerators or a trained person. Okay, a group of trained persons will be there, people will be there. They will be going to the household and they will be collecting the data. They will be interviewing the individual person of that home. So about the origin and destination. So they will be visiting, the trained personnel will be visiting the household and they will be carrying out the individual interview or individual survey. Then detailed information regarding the trips made by the member is obtained on this part only. Okay, they will be asking. Okay, they will be asking in a house means 3 to 4 members are there, means 1, 2, 3, 4. So they will be inquiring all the 4 members. Okay, they will not be asking the question for one member. They will be inquiring all the 4 members. Okay, that is the first member. They will ask what is your destination. If you are daily commuter, if you are daily traveling from one place to another place, what will be the destination? What is the purpose of trip? You will be leaving from origin to destination. What is the time duration required to cover that distance, travel distance? What is the purpose of the trip? All the details they are going to ask. All the details will be asked in the home itself. That's why it is called as a home interview method. That is a interviewing the individual person of the house and getting the data for origin and destination survey. Then data collected is useful for planning road network. That is, while planning the road network, it will be helpful. Roadway facilities for vehicular traffic or planning mass transportation requirements. Okay, as we all know, the planning mass transportation means it may be a bus route, airways, which is a mass transport, then railways. So planning of these basically depends on this origin and destination survey. So the data what you are going to collect, which will be useful in planning road network, roadway facilities, and planning mass transportation system. Okay, that is planning the mass transportation system. Then the problem of stopping vehicles and the consequent difficulties are avoided. So I told right, there is no chance of stopping the vehicle on the road, and the consequences will not be arise when we are going for this home interview method. Why? Because we will be not going to road, we will be going to house, and we will be inquiring or we will be interviewing the persons who are present in the house without any stoppage of vehicles and without any consequences. We can easily get the data. Then the present travel needs a clearly known and analysis also so simple. Okay, in this home interview HI method, the analysis of data is very simple. Okay, because the individual data we are going to get it, so it will be very simple. Okay, in this method, the actual data what they are traveling, okay, they will give you the data without any creating problem, rather than in the roadside interview method they will be creating problem, and 100% efficiency will not be there in roadside interview method and postcard method. But in the home interview method, if we go for asking the question about the road survey, means they will be in a position to answer. Okay, this is about a home interview method. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? You can leave a message or you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next one is the very simple method is a work spot interview method. I don't know, in the internals, some of you have written these methods. That is roadside interview method, then work spot interview method, then home interview method, license plate method, tag on car method. I don't know why you people are written this one. I don't know. Still, I have not yet taught you this various methods of OD study. Some of you have written, but it's okay. I have allotted the marks also. Nothing to worry. So the next method is a work spot interview method. As the name itself indicates, the work spot interview method. So now we have visited their individual houses to collect the data. Now it's time to move to their workplaces and getting the data. So collecting the OD at workspace, that is the origin and destination data at workplace, like offices. So moving into the office, factories, educational institution by conducting personal interview. So you will be requesting their head of the office, that is their MDs or a general manager, and we will be requesting them to collect the data. So they will allow us to collect the data individually. We are going to interview the people and we are going to get the data. So moving to the work spot only, that is moving to the where they are going to work, directly will be moving there and they will be collecting the data. All the data will be there. So what is your origin? What is your destination? Purpose of trip, number of trips, type of transport used, intermediate stoppages, if any. All details will be getting from the work spot interview method, and it is also very simple and it will not create any complexity. It will not create any complexity. It will be very simple to get the data from the work spot interview method. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay, I hope it is clear. Next one is a presentation of origin and destination data. Okay, presentation of origin and destination data. So in this, there are 4 types of presentations are there. The first one is origin and destination table. Okay, the origin and destination table, which will be including a number of trips between the zones. Okay, for example, zone A to B, zone C to D, number of trips. Okay, number of trips, that is 12 trips, 14 trips. So from A to B, A to dash means you will be moving from A to B, that is a 12 number of times you are going to move. From C to D, you will be moving 14 number of times. So the origin and destination table you are going to prepare, which will include zones, number of trips between the zones you are going to mention. The next one is a desired line. I was telling about desired line in the starting only. So these are the straight lines connecting the origin point with their destination. You can see here, this is the Smith term, and you can see here school, college, and training area. So the desired line, what will it indicate means, for example, this is the house, okay, and somewhere this is a college. Okay, this is house and this is college. So it is a straight line which will be connecting the origin and destination. So it is a straight line which will be connecting the origin and destination. In that, what will happen means, you are going to connect it with a straight line. Okay, you are going to connect it with a straight line, and the width of desired line is drawn proportional to the number of trips in both the direction. Okay, the width you can observe here. The width of the desired line. Okay, the width of the desired line indicates the number of trips. Okay, the width of the desired line indicates the number of trips. If the width is more means the number of trips will be more. If the width is very less means the number of trips is very less. Okay, remember, desired lines are the lines which are connecting the origin and destination. The width of the desired line gives information about number of trips or frequency of trips. If the width of the desired line is more means thicker means it indicates more number of trips will be moving. If it is less means the less number of trips will be generated. For example, we will consider A, B, C, D, and E. So these are the points. So I will be drawing the. So if the thickness of the desired line, okay, if the thickness of the desired line is very width, that is the width of the desired line is more, means it indicate number of trips are more. That is width is directly proportional to number of trips. Okay, as the width increases, number of trips is going to increases. If the width is very less, means number of trips is also very less. Okay, this thing you should understand. This is about desired line. Okay, the desired line means it is a line connecting the origin and destination. The width of the desired line tells us about the number of trips between origin and destination. The next one is a pie chart. Okay, we all know that pie chart, which is represents the relative magnitude of the generated traffic and geometrical relationship of the zone. So this is zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3, which will be showing the generated traffic and geometric details, and the diameter of the pie chart. Okay, the diameter of the pie chart will be indicating the number of trips. Okay, the diameter of the pie chart will be indicating the number of trips. The last one is contour maps. Okay, this is very important. Contour maps which will be plotted according to the topographic contours. Okay, contours means remember line. Contours means line joining of equal elevation. Okay, contours means lines which are joining of equal elevation, that we are going to call it as contour lines. Okay, the contour lines will be drawn according to the number of trips. This is also based on the number of trips. Okay, is it clear? So the origin and destination data will be represented in 4 forms. One is the tabular form indicating the zones and number of trips. The second one is desired line, the line which is connecting the origin and destination. The width of the line indicates the number of trips. The third one is a pie chart. So the diameter of the pie chart is indicating the number of trips. Then the fourth one is contour lines. So which is similar to the topographic contours, which will be connecting the traffic of equal flow, or we can call it as lines joining the equal elevation. So this is about origin and destination study. Now we will move to the next study. Is a very simple study called parking survey, or parking study, or parking survey we are going to call. So we will be moving to the next concept called parking study. Okay, parking study or parking survey. So what do you mean by parking? So stopping of the vehicle on the road, that we are going to call it as parking. So nowadays the parking becomes the major problem in all the metropolitan cities or all the major cities. This parking is a big problem. So which will be creating problem not only to the road users, it will be creating the problem to the urban planner or traffic engineer. Then some portion of the traffic will need to stop or park at desired location for desired locations for a different duration. So when you are moving for any outside work, that is when you are going for shopping, or when you are going for industries, and when you are going for school, college also, you need this parking. You are going to stop your vehicle at a certain space, yes or no? So those space survey we are going to call it as a parking survey or parking study. So the demand by automobile users for parking space is one of the major problem for highway transportation, especially in metropolitan city. I told right, demand by automobile users. Now the parking demand, you can't easily park the vehicles on the road. If you are parking the vehicles on the road, means the traffic police will come and they will take out your vehicle, and you have to visit the nearby traffic police station, and you have to get the vehicle by paying some fine for parking on the road. So which will be creating a major problem to the road users. So in industrial, commercial and residential places with multi-story buildings, parking demand is particularly high. Why? Because in industrial, commercial and residential places, the people will be more, or we can call it as a population. Okay, population will be more. So as we all know that if the population is increasing, means the number of vehicles will be increasing. So if the number of vehicles are increasing, but the space available for parking those vehicles will be reduced. So to avoid this, we need this parking study. What are the various types of parking, and what are the inventories you should make before providing the parking? So those things we are going to discuss today. So remember, parking is a serious problem. All the vehicles which will be traveling the road should have spend some time. The vehicle should stop at a particular point and they have to move. So stopping that particular point in a space, we are going to call it as parking. And in commercial and industrial and residential places, the parking demand is very high. Parking demand means requirement of space for parking. Okay, requirement of space for parking purpose, that we are going to call it as a parking demand. So next is investigations for parking. Okay, what are the investigations you are going to do for parking? Whenever you are going for some places, you will be searching for parking places. So study of existing parking facility, characteristics and facilities available. For example, you will be moving from Bangalore to Mysore. So you don't know about the Mysore parking characteristics and facilities. So you will be searching. So you will be checking the existing parking characteristics and parking availability in that study area, in that area. So study of existing parking characteristics and facilities, you should check. This is the first point you have to concentrate whenever you are going for parking. Then inventory of additional parking space that could be available. So whenever you are parking on the road, means it will be creating congestion or delay in the movement of the vehicle. So what you are going to do means you are going to invent other parking spaces. Okay, so you have to go in search of other spaces which are available for parking, like the open space or multi-story parking is available. Likewise, you are going to check additional parking space. Then determination of actual parking demand, that is determining the actual. So what is the actual parking demand? That is what is the actual space requirement for parking? Okay, actual space requirement for parking you are going to determine. So actual space requirement for parking you are going to determine. Then planning and design of suitable parking facilities. So after getting all this data, you will be planning and designing the parking facility. So remember, study of existing parking characteristics and facilities available, inventory of additional parking space that could be available, you are going to look into that. Then actual parking demand, that is the actual space requirement by the vehicle you are going to determine. Then planning and designing suitable. By collecting all this data, we are going to design the suitable parking system or parking facilities. You can see here, this is a on-road parking. These two are on-road parking, and you can see this is a off-road parking. Okay, off-road parking, that is other the parking of the vehicles other than the road, that we are going to call it as a off-road parking. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Okay. Next one is types of parking. There are two types of parking, as I told in the last slide only. One is on-street parking and another one is off-street parking. There are two types of parking. You should remember, one is on-street, that is parking your vehicle on the road itself. Then off-street, parking your vehicles other than the road. Parking of the vehicles other than the road, that we are going to call it as the off-street parking. So remember, on-street parking means parking your vehicle on the road itself, that we are going to call it as on-street. Parking your vehicle on the other than the road, that we are going to call it as off-street parking. Okay. Next, we will see what is this on-street parking. Okay. As the name itself indicates that parked along the curb, which may be designed for parking. You can see here the parking of vehicles which are on the road itself. Okay. The parked on the road itself. So in this type of parking, vehicles are parked along the curb. Along curb means I think you all know that. So this is the carriageway. Your vehicle will be moving here. There is a vertical member which divides a footpath. This is footpath. A vertical member which divides a footpath and the roadway, that we are going to call it as a curb. Okay, the vertical member which will bifurcate the roadway. This is roadway and footpath, that we are going to call it as a curb. Whatever the shaded portion has shown, it is called curb. A vertical member which will be bifurcating the footpath and the roadway, that we are going to call curb. Okay, that is on-street parking or curb parking means along the curb only we are going to park the vehicle, and you can see here on the road itself the parking is done. The vehicles are parked on the road itself. Then curb facility may be either unrestricted or restricted type. Different patterns of curb parking are parallel parking and angle parking. Again, the on-street parking is divided into two categories. So remember, on-street parking means parking of your vehicle on the road itself. That we are going to call it as on-street parking. And again, the on-street parking is divided into two categories. One is parallel parking and angle parking. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear about on-street parking? Is it clear, right? On-street parking, that is parking the road, parking the vehicles on the road itself, that we are going to call it as on-street parking. Then again, the on-street parking are divided into two categories. One is parallel parking and another one is angular parking. Okay, is it clear? On-street parking, simply remember, parking the vehicle on the road itself, that we are going to call it as on-street. Again, it is divided into two, parallel parking and angle parking. So first one we will see what is this parallel parking. Okay, you can see here in the diagram. So this green portion, whatever I am shading. So this is the curb. Okay, this is the curb. So parking your vehicle. Okay, parking. So parking your vehicle parallel to the curb. Okay, you can see the vehicles are parked parallel to the curb only. The vehicle are parked parallel to the curb. That's why it is called as a parallel parking. You can see here. So this will be the curb, whatever I am highlighting. So whatever I am shading. So the vehicles are parked parallel to the curb. Hence it is called as a parallel parking. So it needs a less roadway width. So the roadway width is very less. You can see here. So this is the center line of the road. But number of vehicles that can be parked per unit length is least. So it consumes a lesser roadway width consumes a lesser roadway width, but lesser number of vehicles. Okay, you can park only lesser number of vehicles, and it is generally preferred when the width of curb parking space and the width of the street are limited. So this parallel parking is only applicable when the width of the curb parking space and the width of the road is very less. Since it uses a least road width, it will not affect the ongoing traffic. So it will not be creating any problem to the moving traffic. Okay, remember parallel parking the vehicle parallel to the curb, we are going to call it as parallel parking. It requires a lesser space, and it it can accommodate a less number of vehicles per unit length. Then whenever when the width of the road is lesser, there you can go for this parallel parking, and it will not affect the movement of the traffic. Okay, is it clear? Parallel parking. Is it clear? Kindly respond.
Yes, sir.
So parking the vehicle parallel to the curb line. Okay, in the exam, if they ask you to write the diagram, means you have to write this one. Okay, parallel parking. So next one is angular parking. So the angular parking are parking with respect to the curb line. Okay, you can see here 30-degree angular parking, 45-degree angular parking, 60-degree, then 90-degree angular parking. So it may be at an angle of 30, 60, 90 or 45-degree. So it requires more space than the parallel parking because of angle. That is, it will increase us up to 90-degree. The width of the roadway required will be increases up to 90-degree. Angular parking accommodates more number of vehicles per unit length of curb. Maximum number of vehicles that can be parked per unit length of the curb within right angle parking. So other than right angle parking, if you go for 30-degree, 60-degree or 45-degree parking, you can accommodate more number of vehicles. Okay, you can accommodate more number of vehicles rather than the 90-degree parking. Then angle parking is more convenient to the driver for parking and unparking than parallel parking. So it will be very easy for the driver to park the vehicle in the angular parking and unparking the vehicle. But if you go for parallel parking, it will be very difficult for the driver to go for parallel parking. Then out of various angle, 45-degree. So this 45-degree angular parking is more effective. So the best parking is 45-degree angular parking. But the most or the worst parking is perpendicular parking. Why? Because it will be consuming half width of the road for parking only. So they will be creating the problem for the movement of the traffic. So parallel parking, when it is parked parallel to the roads of curb, then angular parking with respect to the curb, some angle will be intended, that is 30, 60, 45, 90-degree. Among those, 45-degree will be considered the best parking, and as the angle increases, the width of the road is going to increase for accommodation. So in the angular parking, more number of vehicles can be accommodated in a uniform width or unit width. This is about angular parking. Next is the off-street parking. As the name itself indicates, the parking which is done other than the road, that we are going to call it as off-street parking. So when parking facility is provided at a separate place away from the roadside or curb is known as a off-street parking. That is whenever you are parking the vehicle other than the road, that we are going to call it as off-street parking. If you park the vehicle on the road itself, means we can say that it is on street. Other than the road, if you are parking in your house premises, parking in the open surface lots, that we are going to call it as off street parking. From this type of parking, congestion delay will not be there. But if you go for on-street parking, the congestion and delay will be there. But in the off-street parking, the vehicles will not be on the road. It will be parked somewhere else where the delay will not be there. The congestion will not be there in the roadway movement or traffic movement. So congestion and delay can be avoided or reduced from the off-street parking. And there are two types of off-street parkings are there. One is surface parking lots. As we all know that surface parking lots, a huge boundary will be fixed and open land will be fixed for parking your vehicles. So surface parking lots may be convenient where sufficient space is available at comparatively low cost. Now, in Bangalore city, we are not getting this surface parking lots. Why? Because if you go everywhere the buildings are coming up without any open surface lots. So, in other than the Bangalore, that is other than the city, that is outskirts of the city, you can expect this surface parking lots. Okay, which is a type of off-street parking. When parking is done by owner or driver is called a self-parking system. So in the surface parking lots, again two types will be there. One is self-parking, that is parking your vehicle by yourself, that we are going to call it as a surface parking. Parking by the attendants who are present in the surface parking lot, that you are going to call it as a attendant parking system. So remember, in the off-street parking, surface parking lots will be there. So parking the vehicles in the huge or big surface lots, that we are going to call it as surface parking lots, and it will have sufficient space, and the cost of the parking is very less. This is about surface parking. The next one is multi-storage garages. Okay, this is the common practice nowadays. They are adopting, that is a multi-storage parking. So in the building only, you can expect this type of parking. So that is parking your vehicle on the building, in the building. So multi-story parking garages are restored to when the floor space is available for parking garage is less and very costly. But this multi-story parking is very costlier than the surface parking lots. So parking your vehicle in the multi-story building, and there will be some buildings will be available. In Bangalore, you can see for example, in Vijayanagar TTMC, if you go through Vijayanagar TTMC, there you can see this multi-story parking. So the parking space will be in each individual floor. So those floors are integrated with this ramps, whatever I have shown here. So in the second figure, so it is integrated with ramps for the movement of the vehicle. So the garages can be above the ground or below the ground or integral of both. So the multi-story, it may be parking below the ground or above the ground. For example, if you go for any malls like Mantri Mall or any malls, if you go there, you can see the parking. At the basement, you have observed that a parking space is available. Those type of parking we are going to call it as a multi-story parking. Then it is necessary to provide the interfloor travel facility. So there should be a interfloor travel facility. You can see here there is a interfloor travel facility between second floor. This is the ground floor, first floor, and second floor. You can see here there is a interfloor facility will be provided. There is the ramps are provided to connect first floor and ground floor, and ground floor and G plus G minus 1 or second floor and first floor. So providing the ramps will be easy for traveling from one floor to another floor. So this is all about multi-story parking. So in the parking, you should learn about what do you mean by parking? Types of parking, that is there are two types, on street parking and off street parking. So parking the vehicles on the road itself, we are going to call it as on street parking. Again, on street parking is divided into two categories, parallel parking and angular parking. Then off street parking, parking the vehicles other than the road, that we are going to call it as off street parking. Again, off-street parking is divided into two category: multi-story parking and surface parking lots. Okay, this completes the parking studies. Okay, is it any doubts in this parking studies? Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll stop here. We'll continue. There are only two concepts are left behind in left out in the second module. That is the accident study, which is very important. Then level of service. So by Friday, I will be completing with this accident analysis. Again, by Monday, I will be completing the entire second module. And from next week onwards, we will solve some problems. That is, it will take 2 hours to solve the problem. That is problems on spot speed analysis and speed and delay survey. Okay, there will be two types of problems will be there. We will be solving those problems in the next class. Okay. Don't leave the session. I will download the attendance during the session. Is everything is clear, right? Are people are understanding? You can mute. You can unmute yourself and you can answer, or you can leave a message in the chat section so that I can
Yes,
get.
sir.
Okay. Understanding. Okay. So I will be sharing this PPT. That is, I will upload this PPT in the MS Teams by next weekend. That is by completing all the other concepts what are left out. So it will be easy to understand to read. Okay. Okay. I'll stop here. So we are left out with accident studies. Okay. Wait a minute.